Hey friends, it's Mari. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today and happy International Scrapbooking Day. I have a 12 by 12 layout here for you and I'm going to be scrapbooking 3 square photographs here that I've printed at 2.5 by 2.5. These are black and white photos, and the story that I'm going to be documenting here today is a story of my birthday this past year that was in September, when my husband and my kids treated me to a Keith Urban concert. And this is actually a pretty funny story that I'm going to be documenting here, and I'll tell you a little bit about it as we go along. I'm going to be using this awesome darkroom door border stamp, and I'm just going to look here and see what this one is called because I forget. This one is called Hearts, and I love it because it's kind of got that distress look to it, and it's got a little bit of text on it, and I wanted to use it to create a vertical layout here today. I'm also going to be using some of the new archival ink in the Distress Ink colors, and I'm trying to remember, I think this one is Hickory Smoke if I'm not mistaken, but hopefully you can see on the screen there the color that's on the container. And I just love using archival ink in scrapbooking when I'm going to mix up my media, because the archival ink is acid free and it's also waterproof, which is beautiful. So I'm going to, I wanted to use this gray color just because I thought it would be a little bit more subtle on the layout, but yet dominant enough that you could really see it and that it would leave an impression on the layout. So that's what I was going for here with this stamp. Now you can see there I've stamped that out, and I really like how that came out. I just put that onto a 12-inch block, and there you can see it's all stamped out. Now I'm just showing you there I used some archival ink cleaner to clean my stamp up. And now I'm going to take, this is actually a Vicki Boutin stencil from the Color Kaleidoscope collection, and I'm going to run some Schmincke paste through that. This I think I got at Jackson Arts online through Amazon, and it is just a really awesome texture paste. I love it because it is really smooth and fine, and it dries super fast. So it's a lovely, lovely product to work with. So I'm just going to use my palette knife here. I'm going to run that texture paste through that stencil in a few places vertically, again down the right side of those hearts and overlapping a little bit on the hearts in a few places. And then you'll see that I'm going to add some media on top of that. I'm going to add some Distress Oxide ink. So I'm going to use the Miracle brushes, or you know what I'm talking about. These makeup brushes that are for not makeup this time, but crafting. And they are just so awesome for applying Distress ink. Now I did treat my Basil Marshmallow cardstock here with some gesso. And I just wanted to let you know that this Distress ink just blends beautifully onto the gesso, onto this cardstock. So I started off here with spun sugar, and now I'm going in to use some peacock feathers. I am going to just blot off the peacock feathers off my brush here a little bit, just because it's pretty dominant and I didn't want it to be too super dark. So I want to start off lightly and build my layers of color as I go until they're all just nicely blended, and I have the various colors that I'm going to be using in the different little areas here, sort of evenly spread out more or less. And I actually decided as I was working on this to change my color scheme slightly. I thought I was just going to go with this pink and aqua kind of color scheme, but then I decided that I was going to use a Pink Fresh collection that has some kind of orange tones in it as well, and some yellows. So you'll see that I am going to add those colors in as well into my process. So now I'm just going to take my tool, my knife tool, and I've got my self-healing cutting mat out here. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to, on the left side of those hearts, just cut around the edge of them just to release them a little bit. And that's just, that's all I did down that left side there. And now I'm taking some Abandoned Coral Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just kind of trying to match these colors up with, like I said, that Pink Fresh collection that is called, it'll come to me, I'll remember here eventually. It is a collection that was from last year, I think. So I am going to now take some yellow, and I'm going to work this into my color scheme as well. and that yellow color is called Scattered Straw. The Pink Fresh collection is Let Your Heart Decide. I did remember. And I'm also going to add in a little bit of orange as well. I think this one is maybe Spice Marmalade, but whatever you have in your stash, whether it doesn't have to be Distress inks, but if you wanted to try this technique, whatever inks you have. So you can see that I just keep putting that Let Your Heart Decide collection, some of the embellishments over there to match the colors up. Now I'm going to take my Shimmer Spritz glitter spray from my stash here, and I'm going to spray that over top of the Distress ink. What that will do is it will activate the ink a little bit and make it look kind of a little bit blotchy and blend it even a little bit more. And it'll also add a beautiful sparkle and shine to the background of my layout here. So I don't know if you'll really be able to see it on camera that well. I will attempt to show you a little bit as the process goes here. So now you can see I actually released those hearts all the way along, and I'm going to take the paper that was on the other side of that and glue it down, just because I did have a little bit of ink on there that blended over onto the paper, and I wasn't 100% sure yet what I wanted to do, but then I decided to put a piece of patterned paper over there anyway. So I mean, it would have been fine not to put that white paper back in there, but at the time I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I just slide this pattern paper in here, and it's from that same Pink Fresh collection. I like how it's got the circular pattern on it, which kind of mimics the shapes that were part of that stencil that I put the texture paste down in. And now I think what I'm going to do here at some point, I'm going to distress the edges of those hearts. And I'll distress the edge of that pattern paper on the left as well, just to give it a little bit of texture, make it look just a little bit more interesting. So here you'll see I'm taking my distressing tool, and I'm just going to distress the edges of those hearts in that way. So just make it look kind of rough, and I just love that distress look, and I think it goes along too with the style of stamp that this is. It's kind of a distress looking stamp, so roughing up those edges just kind of made sense to me, so that's what I'm doing here. And then, like I said, I'll also do that to the edge of that patterned paper and kind of tear and rip and make that pattern paper look really distressed as well on the one edge. I am going to finish that side of the layout off with a text paper, and the text paper is going to be from my stash from Felicity Jane collection from a while back. And now I'm just going to try to get a handle on what I want to do with these photographs. So let me tell you a little bit about this story. So when we went to the Keith Urban concert, Bailey said, "Mom, partway through the concert, Keith is going to go to his second stage." So there was another stage set up in another part of the arena where apparently he walks through the crowd to get to this stage, and then he does a few songs on this second stage. And apparently he supposedly was going to give away a guitar. So we were pretty pumped about that. And I said to Bailey, well, let's make sure we get over to that second stage so that we can be like right up front. So when we were in the process of kind of getting organized to do that, we ran into my cousin and her friend, which, I mean, I don't know, that's crazy that even happened, because there was thousands of people at this concert. But anyway, it happened. So my cousin and her friend and Bailey and I were standing there waiting and listening to the concert. And one of the guys that works for Keith Urban and his crew came over to us and said, "Do you ladies want to come over to the area here by the gate, which is where Keith is going to like walk through, and you can like be right there?" Now you can see on the layout here, I'm just adding some splatters and some acrylic paint for my stash here. So I'm just watering it down and then adding some splatters. So anyway, we went and stood by the gate, and sure enough, when he came up, like we were right there. I actually touched his arm, which was pretty awesome. And then my cousin and her friend were taking a selfie with him, and I wasn't tall enough to be in the picture because they're all taller than me, but I was right behind him, and I took a picture of the back of his head, which is kind of hilarious, but it's pretty cool. And then Bailey, the picture in the middle there that you can see on the layout, she's kind of in the background, and she's looking at me while my cousin and her friend were taking the photograph. And the look on her face is priceless because she could see how excited I was. And that to me is my favorite part of that picture. I mean, yeah, Keith Urban's in it, which is awesome too, but I just love the look on her face. So super cute little story here. And that's what I'm documenting today. Now you can see I've added a bunch of embellishments. I've matted my 3 photographs just in a piece of 6x6 paper from that Let Your Heart Decide collection. I'm just going into the collection and I'm adding a few little details like some little phrase stickers to the sides of the pictures. I'm adding, you know, some little circles here and there and then repeating the heart theme. So I've kind of got 2 shapes going on here, hearts and circles. And I'm just looking through my stash and through that collection for different little pieces that I can add in. So some of those stickers, some things that they say, the circle at the top says indulge a little, and then one of the little phrases says page turner and I'm all in. Write this story on your heart, and not easy but worth it. And it was kind of a struggle to get positioned. There was lots of people that wanted to sort of push us out of the way in that, and I just like turned to them and said, hey, we were here first and we're not moving, so back off. Anyways, it was pretty hilarious and so much fun. It was kind of a thrill of a lifetime. I'm a big Keith Urban fan. I love his music, and I think he's just a really cool entertainer. He seems so down to earth and just so pleasant, and I don't know. I mean, whatever. I enjoy his music, so it's all good, right? Now, the alphas at the top of the layout that say Keith are the puffy alphas from the Let Your Heart Decide collection. Now, what I did was I went onto my computer and I printed all of the journaling off on a piece in Microsoft Word using a font called Special Elite. And I think this is a font that I downloaded off dafont.com. And I've printed my text out in Microsoft Word using, I think this is 11-point font. And I've just single spaced it, or maybe even 1.5 spacing, and printed that off on a piece of white cardstock. And what I used for cardstock for printing all of my journaling is just some cheapy white cardstock from either Staples or Michaels. I don't use my Nina Solar white cardstock or anything like that for printing out my journaling. I just use a more inexpensive brand. And now I have mounted that journaling onto that pattern paper that matches up with the pattern paper that I have matted my photos in. And it has all of the colors that are used in this layout on that pattern paper so that it just looks really nice. It matches up nicely in that way. And I'm just going to stick that down over in that area on the left, and that's going to be the home for my journaling. Now I'm just going to try out a few little bits and pieces there to put at the top of my journaling. And this little sticker is going to say today. Hey everybody, I wanted to let you know I am doing a giveaway for International Scrapbooking Day. Please make sure that you give me a thumbs up. Make sure that you leave a comment. And from the people who comment below, I am going to give away a collection. The collection that I'm going to give away is Floral Market from Carta Bella. This is a beautiful collection pack and it's really pretty. I should have showed it here on the on screen, but I forgot to do that. I'll tell you what I will do though is I'll leave a link to the collection below so that you can see what the collection looks like. It's really pretty. It was designed by Jen Allison for Carta Bella and Echo Park, and it is beautiful. And I have a whole collection pack to give away, and I would love to give it to you as a fun little giveaway for International Scrapbooking Day. So make sure that you're a subscriber here on my channel and that you've left a comment to be eligible for the giveaway, and I'll announce the giveaway here over the next week or so. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing International Scrapbooking Day, and I hope you enjoyed my process today, and I hope to see you another time here on my channel. Bye-bye.